One of the recent events you attended was the dedication of the altar and the blessing of the chapel at the new St. Joseph College Seminary building over on Loyola's Lakeshore campus. Before we discuss the seminary and vocations, let's watch this report by Jim Dish on the dedication.
The new St. Joseph College Seminary is a beautiful addition to Loyola University's Lakeshore campus. The residence portion of the seminary is a 4-story building located just behind the chapel. It consists of 34 seminarian rooms capable of housing up to 68 students. Rector-President Father Paul Stein says the new seminary is much more than bricks and mortar.
Besides a building, it's also a sign of hope, a hope for the future of the priesthood, the commitment of the Archdiocese to the priesthood and to vocations, but also a sign of the vitality of faith here at Loyola, here in the Archdiocese, for the future of the priesthood and the service of God's people.
The Chapel of Our Lady of the Rosary is the focal point of the seminarian's prayer life. The front rose window contains a symbol of the Blessed Virgin Mary. The rear window depicts the Lamb of God surrounded by other sacramental symbols. The blessing of the chapel drew a full house that included recent graduates of St. Joe's.
I think it's very exciting for the life of not just St. Joseph College Seminary, but for the life of the Archdiocese. It shows great promise about vocations here in the Archdiocese, that young men are discerning the call to the priesthood, and having a new facility and a new chapel is a great space for the men to be able to pray and discern God's will for their lives.
The blessing of the chapel was followed by a Mass celebrated by Cardinal Francis George, a Mass that included the dedication of the altar. Among the worshipers was Father Peter Sneeg, Archdiocesan Moderator of the Curia and former rector at St. Joseph College Seminary.
It's just a blessing from God to be here to see the completed seminary. And I was at the groundbreaking. It was in November. It was cold at the time. The wind was blowing, and the Cardinal and I were laughing and enjoying ourselves. But to see it go from throwing sand from a shovel to this beautiful building and this beautiful chapel is just God's blessing to us and to the church, this local church in the Archdiocese of Chicago.
There are currently 40 seminarians enrolled at St. Joe's, up about 30% from last year. They are taught in a state-of-the-art classroom and can relax in a recreation room or the student lounges. There's even an exercise room to help keep in shape. So what's in the future of the seminary?
My first wish is to fill the seminary to capacity at 68 seminarians. We've had some challenging years, but we're seeing an increase in vocations, an increase just in the interest level among young men towards priesthood. So I think we have a great future. I think God has blessed us and graced us and has not abandoned us, and I think we have great things coming down the line.
The new St. Joseph College Seminary, a very positive sign for vocations in the Archdiocese of Chicago. I'm Jim Dish reporting for the Church, the Cardinal and You.
Looking at the pictures I saw on the website, that it looks like a beautiful building they built. Yes.
It is, and more than a beautiful building, it's also a building with formation in mind. You know, we build buildings and then they form us. And in a seminary, you have to have a beautiful chapel, which is the centerpiece. It's splendid, with windows from the old Holy Rosary Church in Pullman on the south side. And then you have private rooms for your own work and study, and then you've got a lot of public spaces so that the community is formed. Because if you don't have places where everybody kind of has to bump into one another, you can get isolated in a building. It's like an apartment building, and it's not. It's a community building, and it's well designed that way. It also has a roof, you know, that's ecologically sound, a lot of good stuff. Yeah. But I'm very proud of the building. They worked hard at putting it together, and proud of all the donors who make that possible. You know, the St. Joseph Seminary program is the college level. So kids come from high school and they go into the college seminary program. Most of their classes are at Loyola University, which gives the degree. And then they move on to Mundelein Seminary for their 4 years of theology. And we've got good numbers, you know, not overwhelming, at all those levels, including a high school program called Quigley Scholars, which is very useful for the men themselves and for providing vocations for the next level. It also is used by a number of other dioceses, of course, and Atlanta sends San Bernardino in California, different Milwaukee sends their seminarians there. And then a lot more dioceses use Mundelein, which is an internationally recognized faculty.
So perhaps this new building is a sign of perhaps more vocations.
Well, I hope so. You know, it's not easy for a young man to choose to be a priest today. It takes a certain amount of courage. The society doesn't foster the vocation, certainly. Now the families don't foster it very often, sometimes too. And so these are good people. And, not everybody who comes to the seminary gets ordained. But if they get ordained, they've been through a good program, and St. Joseph's is integral to that.
Okay. Well, thank you.